Okay. You can't guess? No guesses?
A
No, ma'am.
family member.
What's that? A family? Hello? Yeah, tell.
A family member.
He's just like a family member, yes. Come closer.
His wife?
I don't think that his wife also will be able to recognize him. You know, the dog he was feeding in the university, the dog has gone to him and he has recognized. Right? So no one could recognize him. And nice thing has happened to him. So normally that some police people, they take the beggars to the police station and that they, when they want to hit somebody, that they take some people. And so then this man, he has become the victim. So when he was hit 2-3 times, and later on he said that I want to talk to DIG, and he has taken a call and talked to him in English. Then the police officer was amazed to see who he is, right? So like that, he has done a very interesting research, anthropological research on Sri Lanka ve Hingannu. And he has done very nice research also about these different forms of life after death. He has written a book. So like that, researching is very interesting thing. There are different research. Survey, people do surveys, then scientific research. So most of the research are based on what do you call literature. That means the research done by other people. So the other new research, they base their research on the articles written by other people. But here, this is very important, action research. So from action research, what do you, the word says, what do you understand by action research?
Identify a problem and take action against it, ma'am.
Yes. So we identify a problem, that's a burning problem. Then we take actions or measures to overcome it or just to improve the situation. If we find some difficulties, that we find some solutions, right? So then it is a research that is conducted by professionals in a specific field. Now, if you consider about specific field, maybe in medicine, nursing, psychology, sociology, education. So the professionals in education, they do. Professionals means like teachers, like you all. So they do action research. So now who will improve by doing action research? Who will improve? Now, if by doing action research, who will improve?
Committee from the government appointed committee.
What is that? Committee has to do with action research.
No, I mean like to get the corrective actions and those things.
Nobody is reading all these things. So do you think that people are doing thousands and thousands of people are doing research? Who read them? Who read them and who read and implement them? No one. Do you think that they are doing all, they read, the government read all these research and they implement all these recommendations and conclude what they have written in their conclusion? No one.
No.
That's why this action research has come to play now. So this is very important because in action research, they do something to improve, they do something to solve the problem. So in the action research, the person who does the action research improves. If you do, you will improve. How? How will you improve? In one way, students are also improving, but more than students, the teacher improves. How?
We came to know the problem, what is.
yeah, in one way, you learn the problems that you have, right? You have around, right? So what are the problems that you have? Then after that, you take some measures. You do the we call it as intervention. Intervention means the measures you take to solve the problem. So then you know, if I do these things, I will be able to do that. Sometimes you may fail by doing that. Then you plan again. Finally, you learn that, okay, this is the best method for me to apply for these kind of problems. So like that, you improve yourself. The teachers improve by doing action research, right? So then now action research is very popular, especially in education, because that in education we have so many problems. So in order to solve these problems, we do action research. I think it is one of the EB, efficiency bar, for you all. Are you aware of that? Teachers have to do an action research, it seems. Right. So in our colleges, that the students have to do 4 projects and 1 action research. So during the time they stay in the school, they what they do is, now our students, they write lesson plans, and they have to write nearly 250 lesson plans. While teaching, they have to maintain a reflective journal. So then reflective journal is a part of this action research, right? When they are maintaining the reflective journal, they write the problems they encounter. Now, imagine, as an example, today I started my lesson with the by setting the scene. So after that, she writes what happened at setting the scene and all. Then after that, I wanted to do a group activity, and I put the students into groups. But there I noticed the students were reluctant to be in groups and work. They wanted to work alone. That is one problem. So what is that problem I encountered there? Yes, while teaching, I encountered a problem. What is that problem? You can't remember? Right. On another day, I am writing. Today I did this lesson, but there were 5 students who were unable to read the lesson properly. On another day, I noticed there are nearly 7 students. I gave them writing activity. There were nearly 7 students who couldn't write correct formation of letters. So like that, when writing the reflective journal, we identify the problems the students encounter. Like they can't read, they can't write properly, their letter formation is incorrect, then they don't like to work in groups, and there are some students who are not engaging in the activities, they want to do something else. They are simple present tense, when they write, so they don't write simple present tense correctly. So like that, you can find lots of problems while teaching. So what you have to do is, now our students, what they do is, now they halfway, like after about 4 or 5 months, they take, because they read the reflective journal, and they note down all the problems they encounter. They have written in the book, that reflective journal, they write, they take the problems out and they write. So after that, how can you now imagine there are about 9 problems? Imagine the students can't, 6 students can't read properly. There are 12 students who don't like to work in groups. 4 students can't write on the lines. 8 students do not understand simple present tense. Right? So like that, I have lots of problems. So I have list them down. Now, how can I select a problem? You can't do all, ne? So you have to select one problem. So how can you do that? Give your ideas.
Find one problem who occurs several times.
Oh, okay. We find the most troublesome problem. අපිට වැඩියෙන්ම කරදර කරන ප්‍රශ්න අපි හොයාගන්න. So most burning problem. මේක විසඳුවේ නැත්නම් මේ වැඩේ කරන්නම බෑ, උගන්නන්නම බෑ. Like that. So then out of them, you have to select the most burning problem to you. ඔයාට ලොකුම ප්‍රශ්නේ තියෙන එක තෝරගන්න ඕනේ. Right? So sometimes some teachers, they do action research to identify the effectiveness of teaching methods. Now, I did a research with my students to improve their writing, that means grammar, right? Improve their grammar using Google Classroom. So what I did was I created a Google Classroom for that class. Then I asked them to do writing because we can do a lot of writing in that. And I asked them to write. And then I identified the mistakes they do. Then I commented under them. So like that, they kept on writing. They were given lots of writing activities. Picture description, songs, different activities were given to them for writing. Then after that, I identified lots of writing mistakes. Then I did some grammar activities for them. Finally, I gave them the final activity, an error correction. So here, how can we identify the students have the problem, this problem? How can we identify?
By giving tasks.
By giving?
Tasks.
No, I'm asking how can you identify the problem the students have? So how can you identify?
By observing.
By observing, you can observe. Yeah, what else? While you are teaching, you observe, they have this problem. That grouping වගේ එකක්. So they don't like to group. So when I did the activity today, they did not want. Even yesterday, they did not. This group, did not want to be in that group. Even 3 days before, when I was doing a group activity, the same. By observing. What else? Yes, tell.
Behaviors.
Again, behaviors again through observation. Then if you find, if you want, now if, yeah, just tell. Behavior also we can identify through observation. What are other ways? Observation is one way we can identify problem. What are the other ways? Just tell.
Assessment.
Yes, through assessment. So now we give an assessment. Now imagine you want to know the students' level of knowledge of simple present tense. You give an activity. So then when you take 20 students, about 12 students got above 6 and all the others have got below 4, like that. So then you know that there's a problem. But you can do that by giving assessment. What else? Yes. When you're marking their term test papers, when you're marking their books, imagine you are given a writing activity for picture description. So they were unable to, so most of them, that means about 8 students had been unable to write the description properly. Their present continuous and simple present tense are wrong. So then you can take this as your problem and you can do an action research to improve their knowledge of simple present tense and present continuous tense. And there are some students who can't read. So you can start an action research to improve their reading skills. So then when you are teaching, the problems you encounter related to the students, you have to select the most burning problem to you. That means if you do not solve it, it will be a problematic for you, like that. So sometimes the teachers use action research to test the effectiveness of their teaching methods, right? So once I did research using Plift classroom model. Have you heard about Plift classroom model? To see the effectiveness of Plift classroom model, what do you mean by Plift classroom? Yes? Anybody who has heard about Plift classroom? It's a kind of blended learning. Blended learning means both online and offline. That means online, virtual and physical. So in the specialty of Plift classroom model is, if you want to teach the students something, you can't say just find something related to this topic. You have to show them or give them the documents or video clips. You have to give them a specific thing. You can't just tell, okay, now we are doing this lesson, so you find something and come tomorrow. You can't do that. You have to give them specific documents or activities or video clips for them to study. So then they study at home after their academic hours. And next day when they come to school, now you have to assign them some work. You have to read these things and come. Or you have to read these things and find facts for these questions. Then when they come to the class next day, you are going to have a discussion or you give some activities for the students, right? So that is called Plift classroom model. It's really interesting. I did with this some little small dramas with my students. I gave them, I showed them an Indian film done by, not film, short drama done by some students related to tenses, right? Then I asked them to come out with their own ideas. You know that one group, they did a court case. So this court case is, the father was dead and the children are just competing to get the bigger portion of his property. There they have to emphasize they are very important. So who are these children? They are simple present, present continuous, simple future. So they have to say, now I can do this. I can convert myself into negative. So I can convert myself into question form. So like that, they give their purposes. What can they do? Then they ask for bigger portion from the father's property. It's really interesting. They did pretty well. So like that, we can do lots of things with the students. So action research means something we can do with. So you will be very happy after doing this because you have to do a lot of activities with the students. You have to find time and do, right? So action research is focused on solving a problem. So now I told you that there are burning problems. Out of them, you select the most burning problem and then you find solutions for this problem through actions, right? So then here, if we consider about action research, that now if we consider about other research, like a scientific research surveys, it's mostly based on theories, theoretical input. Now here, we use some theories. Theories means some other empirical research conducted by other people, but we don't consider lot, we don't depend lot on other researchers or theories, right? So here the more focus is given for the activities, that the intervention plan, what you do to overcome this problem, right? Are you clear up to this place? Do you want me to explain more? If there's anything that you need to get clarified, ask me. I'm a fan of action research. I like action research very much. I have done, because even when I became a lecturer, the first EB we had to do was an action research. So most of the time I do research, and I have done a lot of researches. Almost all of them I did was action research. Yes. Anything that you want to get clarified up to this part?
No, it's clear, ma'am.
Okay, right. We can continue. Okay. Right. Then what we are doing in action research is we are producing actionable input. Input means that we do something that we can implement. Right. So then in school, action research refers to a wide variety of evaluative, investigative, and analytical research methods. So we evaluate. Now here, one way we can do is that if we want to know about their level, we can give them a pre-test, right? So we select some students, or if you want to do for the whole class. Now here, the beauty of this research is we can select some students. If you, a manageable number, if you want to do with 4 students, but don't take 1 or 2, right? Because in any case, if they stop schooling, you won't be able to continue your research. Therefore, at least you take 10 people for this research. Then even 1 or 2 is missing, it won't harm your research. Even you can do with the whole class, right? So it is very flexible, right? Then so then we evaluate the students. You can give them a pre-test and see whether they have scored high marks, or whether there are students who cannot score marks for this test, and then you can diagnose them. The problem, the weakness, right? Then so here action research help educators to develop their practical solutions to address the problems quickly, efficiently. Within 3 months, within 2 months, they can finish. They give the treatments or intervention quickly, right? Then they can solve the problem, right? Then we can use action research for testing educational techniques, right? Then what else? Right? Then action research may also be applied to programs or educational techniques that are not necessarily experiencing any problem, but that educators simply want to learn more about and improve. So as I did about PLIF classroom model, I wanted to see whether this is applicable to my students, whether I can improve my students through PLIF classroom model. So like that, you also can select any teaching technique and apply it to the students and see whether the students will improve from that technique. Right. The general goal is to create a simple, practical, repeatable process. Iterative means again and again. This is a cyclic process. So now imagine that you have taken 12 students for the research, and you plan your intervention for 2 weeks. You do with them. Then you know that at the beginning you have to give a test, pre-test. Then after that you would give a test. There you notice the students, about 6 students have not yet improved. Then you plan again. I plan කරනවා තව එකක්. අර ප්‍රශ්න හොයාගෙන මොනවද මෙයාට කරගන්න බැරි වුනේ. So then you plan again. Again you implement for 2 weeks or 1 month, whatever it is. Then again you give a test and see now where they have gone wrong. So if you need to improve them, then you plan again. So then this is a process that goes again and again. It's a cyclic process, right? Planning, implementation, observation, reflection. Plan කරනවා, ඒක ක්‍රියාත්මක කරනවා, ඒක හරියට කරාද කියලා observe කරනවා, ඊට පස්සේ reflect කරනවා මොකද උනේ, කොතෙන්ද වැරදුනේ. Then again we plan, right? It's a cyclic process, right? So then thereby you can improve your students, you can improve yourself, you can help the school, right? You can help to improve the results of the school. You can do lots of things, right? So then action research may also be called a cycle of action or cycle of inquiry, since it typically follows a predefined process that is repeated over time. So in action research, activities are repeated again and again, right? So then action research address practical problems in a specific school or classroom. So now, if we consider about the students don't like to be in groups, it's a practical problem. They can't write properly, they can't write proper formation of letters. So they can't write, they can't read the textbooks. So these are practical problems where you can find solutions by implementing actions, right? Then, then action research is typically focused on solving a specific problem or answer a specific question, right? So now, as an example, why are so many of our 9th graders failing math? I mean, නවය පන්ති ළමයි වැඩිපුර maths fail වෙන්නේ. So you can ask that question. So you can ask, why don't my students, why are these students, why are the students of grade 6 reluctant to be in groups? Groups right? How can I improve reading ability of my grade 4 students? So you can ask a question. So then you find answers for that question. How can I improve them? Right. So then action research can also make meaningful contribution to the larger body of knowledge and understanding the field of education, particularly within a relatively closed system such as school, district network, right, in an organization. So mostly you can do this in the schools, right? So, and when you do a research, you try a platform to present your findings. So now NIE, National Institute of Education, they have conferences. Then many of the universities, they have conferences. A conference present because you have to write your abstract. After finishing this action research, you should learn, because in your action research also you have to include an abstract. So you can learn how to write an abstract. Even I also can do one day as the last one. Then when you write a good abstract, about 250 to 300, that you will be selected if you do a genuine work. So do more research. You will learn a lot of things and take part in these research conferences. Then you will learn the things people do. So kochra deval karnawada me guru oru lamainte research kochra karnawada. Okay. Right. So there are so many action research models I can show you. Now here there are different action research, right? Action research is often reflected in 3 action research models: operational models, collaboration models, and critical reflection models. So you don't need to bother about this a lot. You are not asked. You can select one model and do your action research. So operational model is that you should visualize like a spiral. I'll show you that, right? A spiral, it has planning, acting, observing, reflecting. Even it has a spiral as well as it has a cyclic process. Collaboration action research is more community-based. That means not only one person, number of people get together and do the research, right? Wait. Right. So if you consider about the definitions of action research is focused on solving a problem knowledge in a way that impacts teaching, learning, and other related processes. So now action research is focused on solving a problem. That is very important, right? Solving a problem or informing individual and community-based knowledge in a way that impacts teaching, learning, and other related processes. So now we can do research on what impacts on teaching, what impacts on learning. It is less focused on contributing theoretical input. So it doesn't involve a lot on theories, right? But they produce actionable input. Action එකක් ගන්න පුළුවන් inputs තමයි දාන්නේ. The most prevalent model is Kurt Levin's model. Kurt Lewin model එක තමයි ගොඩක්ම අපි කරන්නේ. Right? Method, which is the researcher intervenes in and during the research. This serves two purposes. Firstly, according to Kurt Lewin, it will bring about positive changes. And secondly, knowledge and theory will be generated. So, positive change එකක් තමයි වෙන්නේ. ඊට පස්සේ තමයි අපි knowledge, theory වගේ දේවල් හදන්නේ. Right? Action research enables researcher to self-reflect their practice. So self-reflect means now after doing that, I reflect myself whether this is successful. So how many students by this plan, how many students were developed? How many were unable to do that? And if it is not successful, I can go for another one. Like that, I reflect my work. මගේ වැඩේ reflect කරනවා නිතරම. And change. Right? So then my practices are changed. According to my reflection, I changed my practice. Now I did like this. Now I started with phonetic symbols. Ak, b, t, d, like. So then now imagine I have some students, about 8 students who can't read at all. So then I start with phonetic symbols. Then I ask them to form words. I get at, cat, at, bat. So like that, then cat goes like that. Then I join 2 words. So now imagine I do like this. Then I go with Radiant Playbook. Then I do some storybooks. So like that, I do plan some activities. And after finishing that, I reflect whether this went on well or whether I have to change my activity. So in that way, I change my activities when I'm doing the second cycle, right? According to the results of the first cycle, if the students have not improved, I have to plan for the second cycle. So this is very practical basis, right? So there should be positive changes in this practice. So then according to Mills 2003, he says that any systematic inquiry conducted by teacher researcher to gather information about the way their particular school operates, how they teach, and how well their students learn. So we can do research, action research, to find answers for these questions. The cyclical and iterative is doing again and again. Action research process comprises 4 stages. What are these 4 stages? Planning, acting, developing, and reflecting. I will show you some of these models. Right here, look at here. Can you see? Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay.
can see.
Yeah, so then here planning, we plan the activities. Imagine now you identified a problem, then you plan some activities for 2 weeks. Imagine you want to finish this very quickly. You want to finish the whole thing within 2 months. Or so now you plan for 2 weeks. So you have to find time. Now I will stay after school on Wednesday and Friday. So I will keep the students for 2 hours, 2 hours. So then you plan for 2 weeks and you plan the activities that you're going to do. Not boring activities that you do in the class. You are doing some games, some competitions, group activities, right? So you plan some interesting activities that the students like. Then you act. Active means implement. You implement the activities, right? Then you observe whether this went on well or whether there were some mistakes. How many students could improve from this? How many could not improve? Like that. Then you reflect. So now, if I did these activities, that the results are this, then I have to change these activities. Right? Like that, you have to reflect on yourself. Then again, you go for plan. It's a cyclic process. Now look at here. Like this. Plan, act means implement, observe, reflect. I plan, act, observe, reflect. So it goes on. There may be sometimes 2-3 cycles. Sometimes within one cycle you can finish. If your intervention is very good, you can finish within one cycle. If not, you have to go for another cycle. Even if there are students who have not improved, then you can go for third cycle, fourth cycle, like that. So it goes on like this spiral. Understood? Anything you want to ask? Any questions? If you don't understand, tell me, I can explain it. Because this is very, very important to you all. Therefore, don't have doubts. If you don't understand anything, you ask the questions.
Ma'am, is this the operational model?
This is a kind of operation model because all our operational models, that is, since this is a practical one, so you find the person who has introduced this, right? So what you have to do is that you have to plan, then implement. Act means implement, observe, then reflect. So all our operational models, action research models are all operational models because we implement the model. Anything you want to get clarified? Hello?
It's clear, ma'am.
Are you there or you are sleeping? Okay, it's clear. Okay, right. Right. So now we discussed that action research aims to identify problems, then produce an iterative plan. That means the plan that goes again and again, goes on, of action with strategies. We use some strategies. What are the strategies we use? Pair work, group work, then competitions, right? Strategies to strive for the best practice. Thereby, we identify the best practice to do the activity or improve the knowledge. So then, there are 4 basic stages in the cyclic action research process. Reflect, that means first one is planning, acting or implementing, observing, reflecting. Reflect should be the last one. Then again, after reflecting, you go for planning. Again, implementing. Then observing. Then reflecting. So that it goes on till you improve your students. Right? So cyclic process. Right. Then, so if you want to write an effective action research report, right, you have to understand how you do it. Then, in order to do that, the first first and foremost thing you have to do? What's the first and foremost thing you have to do now? You want to do an action research?
Plan. Identify the risk.
Yeah, identify
The problem.
problem. You have to identify the problem first. Research. You have to identify a problem. What kind of problem you are going to identify? Yeah, what kind of problem you are going to identify? A problem that is burning you most. We are to medium than in a problem, right? Okay. Then you have to narrow it down to a research question, right? So then, as an example, Now imagine in your classroom that there are 6 students who can't read at all. So your question should be a very narrowed down one, not a very broad. Broad එක කරන්න අමාරුනේ පොඩි කාලයක් අතර අපි ඉවර කරනවානේ. Yeah. Just tell me, give me a question. How can I? How to the text, reading the text of grade 6 students, and then how to improve the reading skill of grade 6 students in this school. Right, you have to narrow it down. Right, then you devise an action plan. You have to create an action plan to address the research question. So then you want to improve their reading skill. So now you have to plan. How can you do that? So then first you have to collect data to support your plan. So now what they can't do? They can't pronounce words. So you have to improve their pronunciation. They don't understand the vocabulary. So you have to teach them vocabulary. So then they can't read 2-3 words together. You have to improve that. So like that, you have to collect data first related to, that means evidence, to show that there is this problem. Either by giving a test, either through observation, by interviewing. You have to find, you have to find some evidence. If somebody asks, how do you say that they can't read? So you have to prove. You should have evidence. See, now look at my reflective journal. I was working with them. So now on Monday, I gave them a reading text. But these 6 students, they couldn't read the passage. So now here again, I gave them reading this text. They were unable to do that. They could not read even 2-3 words. So like that, you should have evidence, either by giving a test or by observation, by giving a questionnaire. You can gather data for this, right? Okay, you can even have video clips of them, audio clips. You can have notes, right? You can have a diary. So like that, you should have evidence for that. So once you have selected your method and start analyzing data, you might come up with a more effective plan. So you have to have some data and you have to decide, now these number of students have this problem, and you have to plan to overcome the problem. Then, right, then sometimes you may happen to change the plan, right? So as I told you that there are some steps. You plan, implement, then observe, then reflect. Again, you change the plan, right? In the second cycle, you change the activities, you change, right? So like that, until you find solutions, until you improve the students, until you overcome the problem, you have to have some cycles. So this is a cyclic process. Are you clear?
Yes,
Anything you want to get clarified? Okay. Anybody that you want to ask any question? Because we have to have a clear idea from the very beginning before we proceed. Because I give a lot of activities to you all. It is not just like other subjects, just listening. You have to do a lot of work. මේක ඔයාලට තේරෙන්නේ නැතුව කරොත් වැඩක් නෑ. ඔයගොල්ලෝ මේක තේරුමක් ඇතුව තමයි කරගෙන යන්නේ. By little you should be able to do. So I will assign some work. So if you don't understand, it's difficult. It is clear up to now? If you have anything that is not clear to you, ask. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, right.
Mm.
Okay. Now the difference between action research and other research, right? Now you can understand action research is different than other forms of research as there is less concern for universality of findings because we don't pay much attention on collecting lot of data here. Now here if we consider about other research, we have to find lot of data. That means there should be at least 2-3 data in collecting instruments. Because most research depending on data, right? So here that we don't need to bother about that. We need data to emphasize or prove that this problem exists. Then we can continue our plan to solve the problem, right? Then as indicated about, traditional research tend to favor quantitative. Then they have a lot of quantitative research. Quantitative means a lot of numbers. Survival, experimental, they have a lot of numbers. But here we can do qualitative method. That means through observation, then questionnaire. We can have a lot of information, qualitative data, right? So through observation, interview, we can collect a lot of data. Not numbers. If we give them a test, then we can have numbers. Action research differs sharply from other types of research in that it seeks to produce actionable process. Now, other research, what they do is they analyze, they find data, they analyze data, they give conclusions and recommendations. That's all. But we are finding implement කරනවා අපේ plan එක to find solutions. අපේ තියෙනවා මේ intervention plan එක. Right. Then so here that we have actionable process, right? Right. So in this way, action research is formative, not summative. What is summative? Summative කියන්නේ අර tests. ගොඩක් වෙලාවට test වගේම නෑ. අපේ සමහර continuous assessment වගේ තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. නමුත් අර O level, A level term test වගේම නෑ. Right? Because this is an ongoing process. Right. So if we consider about the differences between action researchers and other researchers, so other researchers, fundamental researchers, we need expert researchers, expert people to do that. They need to know a lot about what they are going to do. They need to read a lot. They need to go through research done by other people. සමහරට articles 100ක් 60ක් 50ක්වත් කියව ගන්න වෙනවා. But action research can be done by any practitioner. අපිට practitioner කෙනෙක් වෙන්න බෑ නැත්නම් ගෙදර ඉන්න කෙනෙකුට කරන්න බෑනේ action research එකක්. So you have to have your target group. වගේ sample එකක් ඉන්න උනාට කරන්න මේ වැඩේ. So any practitioner, any teacher, anybody who is teaching or even somebody who is working in their workplace, they can do practitioner. So now fundamental research is theory building. They build theories at the end or they create models. But action research is day-to-day practice base. That means අපි එදිනෙදා කරන දේවල් තමයි because now they have the problem of reading, writing correct sentences. They have poor knowledge of simple present tense and present continuous. They are reluctant to work in groups. Right? So there may be this kind of problems. Right. Then other researchers, they do for a long period of time. So අවුරුදු ගාණක් තිස්සේ කරනවා. But here action research is short duration. Within 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, they have to finish. Then fundamental research, they take random sample. අහඹු ලෙස ගන්න. But here we take a purposive sample. Purposive sample අපිට purpose එකක් තියෙනවා. මේ ළමයින්ට කියවන්න බෑ කියලා මම ඒගොල්ලන්ව තෝරගනවා. අහඹුවක් නෙවෙයි ඒක. So we held a test and they have scored less marks. So I have taken them for the purpose of improving. මගේ purpose එක මේ බැරි ළමයිට improve කරන්න. So it is called a purposive sample. මං හිතාමතාම ගත්ත sample එක. Then fundamental research, evaluation is done by experts. But here, evaluation is done by the practitioner, maybe the teacher. Then fundamental research, they have standardized rules. ඒගොල්ලන්ට rules හද මේ කවුරුරේ මේ prescribe කරපු. කියන්නේ empirical research වල කවුරු හරි හදලා ඒක implement කරලා ඒක හොඳයි කියලා prescribe කරපුවා තමයි standardized tools කියන්නේ. But here teacher made tools. Teacher පුළුවන් ඕනම activity එකක් හදන්න. Questionnaire එක teacher හදනවා, aptitude teacher හදනවා. ඒක teacher හදලා teacher ඒක implement කරනවා. Then fundamental research, complex and rigid research design. ඒකේ හරිම research design එක හරි අමාරුයි. නමුත් මේකේ හරිම simple. අපි මේක plan එක ගහනවා, අපි මේක implement කරනවා, අපිම observe කරනවා, අපි මේක reflect කරනවා. So it's very simple and very flexible. Right. So there are common differences between action research and formal research. If somebody wants to do a formal research, they need a training, right? So they need a extensive training. But in action research, you don't need a training. You can do with whatever the knowledge. Then common research, they have goals, right? Because they need to improve their knowledge. Because they want to take a big sample. Why they want to take a big sample? ඇයි ලොකු sample එකක් ගන්න ඕනේ ඒගොල්ලෝ? Now action research එක මොකද ළමයි 12ක් 10ක්, even you can take 6 students. The sample is small. But here in other research they have to take a bigger sample. Why? ඇයි ලොකු sample එකක් ගන්න? Why do they need to take a bigger sample? Yeah, tell me. You have to generalize it. ඔයා කියන මේ අපි ගත්ත school now in the southern province. I have selected 10 schools, those who have low GCSE O-level results for English. Then I do a survey. මේක තකන මම හොයනවා මේ questionnaire දීලා එහෙම so I give questionnaire, I do interviews and ask for reasons. Right? Then I analyze data and come to some conclusion and I do some recommendation. Then I generalize my ඊට කියනවා දකුණු පළාතේ southern province එකේ ළමයින්ට ඔක්කොටම මෙන්න මේ ප්‍රශ්නේ තියෙනවා. I generalize it. මම ලොකු sample එකක් ගන්න ඒකයි. So if I want to do a research, if I want to generalize, I have to take at least select some schools from all the zones. කොහොම zones වලින් ස්කෝල දෙකවත් ගන්න ඕනේ. I have to have bigger sample. ලොකු sample එකක් ගන්න නැත්නම් මට generalize කරන්න බෑ. දැන් මම ළමයි 10ක් අරගෙන so I take about 10 students and I do the research and can I generalize all these people in Sri Lanka have this problem? Can I do that? Hello students, I can't do that, right? By taking about 10 students from one school, I tell these students have this problem. And can I come to a conclusion that the students in the whole province that they have the same problem? I can't do that. So if I want to do so, I have to randomly select some schools from the whole zone and then do the collect data, analyze and come to a conclusion. Then only I can say, now I can generalize. Generalize make අනිත් අයට මේ ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවා කියලා කියන එක generalizable. But in action research, we don't generalize. We apply a problem locally, remaining problem we have. So then we are finding solutions for that. Okay. Then method of identifying the problem to be studied. Now we have to think of the best problem, the best method or techniques or actions to solve the problem, right? Then, right. So these are the models. There are so many models. You can select any model. Right. So here, now this is one model. This is Kurt Levin's model: planning, acting, observing, and reflecting. Right. Here in between you have planning, from planning to acting, identifying, informing, organizing. What you have to identify? What you have to diagnose? Yes.
Prob-
Yeah. Yes. What you have to diagnose? Tell. Okay. It doesn't matter if you make mistakes.
Reasons for problem.
More than that, you have to identify the problem first. Then you can find reasons for the problems, because if you find reasons, it's easy for you to find the methods to solve the problem, right? Then, okay, then informing and organizing, because you have to, after identifying the problem, you have to find the techniques or methods, a suitable way of doing, suitable way to overcome the problem. Then implementation to observation. So then you have to collect data by questioning, interviewing, giving a questionnaire, whatever it is. Then you observe means you observe whether this is functioning well, or whether this is a suitable method, or whether you have to change. Then you reflect on the activities you have done, right? Okay. Right. Next one. Now this I explained. This is a cyclic process. You plan, implement, observe, reflect. Again, if it is not suitable, you plan again, implement, observe, and reflect. So this is goes on. It's a cyclic process. Right. Again, there's another model. Action research process, model 2, planning stage. Same thing. Planning, acting, developing, reflecting. What are the things that you have to do in planning? Identifying the problem and limiting the topic. Topic එක limit කරන්න ඕනේ. We can't do a broad thing, right? So improving reading texts, reading skill of reading of 6 students in grade 6 of මෙන්න මේ ස්කෝලේ වගේ යට limit කරන්න ඕනේ එක. හරි? You have to narrow it down. Then you have to gather information about the students. How could you identify these 6? කොහොමද මේ 6 හොයාගත්තේ ඔයා? Then literature review also you have to do, because through literature review related to this topic, you can identify the techniques they have used for this. මොනවද මේගොල්ලෝ use කරලා තියෙන්නේ? So we can use the same. The techniques they have used for their students, we can sometimes use the same. ඒවම use කරන්න පුළුවන්. Right? Then you develop the plan. So after that, during the implementation, you collect data and you analyze data, then developing an action plan, then reflecting stage, sharing and communicating results, reflecting on the process. Right? This is another model. Here, another model: action research cycle, planning, action, analysis, and conclusion. Right? So this is another plan. Right? Okay. So then you can select the best model. This is the Kurt Levin's model. Kurt Lewin model එක planning, acting, observing and reflect. තව ගොඩක්ම use කරන්න එක. And you can use any model. Right? There's no only one model. So you can go to internet and you can find a suitable model for your action research. Right? Then tell me anything that you want to get clarified. If you did not understand, I can brief. For that, you need to tell me your problem where you did not understand. Okay, tell me if you did not understand any place, anything. නැත්නම් මුකුත් මන්ට තේරුන්නේ නැද්ද? You did not understand anything? Tell me where you need any clarification.
Ma'am, normally we told that action research has very short period. Is there any specific period like 1 month, either 2
No,
months kind of?
no. Don't take about 1 year, but you can have less
Hmm.
than 6 months.
Okay.
Or else 6 months. Even you can take 1 year. It doesn't matter. Then you can do more activities.
Hmm.
But it depends on how your students improve. Right? Now imagine you can't say this during this month you have to finish, because you have to improve your student. That is your purpose. If your students have not improved, you have to do again and again. That depends on the way you do the activities. That depends on how do they improve. So you can't stop within 3 months if they have not improved. You have to do some activities until they completely improve, until you reach your targets, your goal. Any other thing? Ask questions. If you have any clarification, ask. I can explain. Okay, now I will ask questions from you. What did you understand as action research? Yes.
It's simply, ma'am, identify the specific problem and collect data based on that and go for the best solution to overcome of it.
Okay, so what kind of problem? That means where do you identify this problem? Is
Most
it
probably within the school process, within
yes,
the lessons.
in your classroom, right? Within
Yeah.
your classroom as a teacher, right? Then what are the basic steps in an action research?
Basically, observation as well as the reflective journal, as you told, and the report cards and the registers, and those are the things also sometimes may be helping to get the
Yes.
data of the relevant problem.
Okay. Now imagine the students, there are some students who are not interested in studying, engaging in studies. So you have to check the every day, or whether the students have not come. Then you have to find the reasons why they have not come. You can even find solutions for the absenteeism, right? So maybe that they don't like some subjects, then you can plan something to improve their interest towards school or whatever it is. Right, then right, okay. Mm, mm, mm. Mm. So why do you say this is a cyclic process? Action research contains, it's a cyclic process. Yes. Why do you say this is a cyclic process?
Ma'am, until we go in for the solution,
Hmm.
we may have to do the same process again and again.
Yes, we have to plan, implement, observe, reflect. Then when we reflect, if we feel that we have not solved the problem, then again we plan, then implement, observe, reflect, right? So until we solve the problem, we have to go on this cyclic process. Then how do you differentiate action research with other research? How you differentiate action research with other research? Who does action research?
By the teachers.
Yes, any practitioner, right? Teacher or any practitioner. Then the other researchers are done by professionals. Then if you consider about other research, they build theories at the end of their research. But action research, it is based on
Practice based.
day-to-day practice.
Practice.
Then the fundamental research, they take long time to do the research, but we can do an action research within a
Short duration.
short period, right? So then what kind of sample is taken for fundamental research?
Random.
Randomly select करना. But here for the action research,
Purposive samples.
what do you say? Why do you say it is purposive sampling?
Actually, it has evidence within the class. And we need to develop students by the end.
So then, because your purpose is to improve the set of students who are weak in that particular thing, and it's a purposive sample. You have to you are taking this sample to sample with a purpose, right? So now in fundamental research, evaluation is done by the expert professional, but here evaluation is done by the teacher or practitioner. So now here the special thing is that in fundamental research, we can't use tools according to our wish. We have to use standardized tools, right? Even if we use a questionnaire, we have to tell that where we have taken that questionnaire. Standardized tool. But in action research, teacher has the freedom to prepare tools on her own. Teacher කැමති විදිහට tools හදාගන්න පුළුවන්. So in fundamental research, they are very complex. Research design is very rigid. But here in action research, it's very simple. You have to write it like a story. Story එකක් වගේ ලියාගෙන යන්න තමයි තියෙන්නේ action research. Right? So then for other research, they need a training. But here in action research, you don't need a training. In action research, there are goals to be achieved, but here you also have a goal, but it's not that much very difficult. It's very flexible. Right? So method of identifying the problem to be studied, that you need to, that they have a lot of methods because methods are very difficult. So they have to read a lot of literature in order to identify, but here in action research, it's very flexible. Right? So you can identify the best model for your research and you can apply. Okay. Now, when you come for the next class, you have to do some work. Right? The work is, I can send you this presentation today itself. I want to know, when do you have the next class? Action research. So again, you have the action research on 19th. That means next Monday. Right. So will it be possible for you to read 5 articles, right? Only 5 articles. Each one has to read 5 articles related to the action research conducted in any country, including our country. පහට වැඩි කියන්න පුළුවන් ගොඩක් හොඳයි. Action research. Study the so now, okay, note down this thing. If you have a paper, write down. When you are ready, tell me. Ready?
Yeah, ma'am.
Right. Okay. Read at least 5 action research, 5 articles based on action research. Reason means now this is 2023, within 5-6 years කරපුවා. Conducted for students in schools in any country or countries, and identify the topic then intervention plan, sample, data collection tools, used for the research, and the conclusions and recommendations drawn. And the conclusions and recommendations drawn. So you can take an A3 sheet and you can write down these things. First, the problem, then sample, or you can write even the name of the person or country or whatever it is, sample. Then plan, what they have done to do this. Then the techniques they have used. Then after that, the conclusion and recommendations, right? So if it is at least, then you can identify what kind of research they have done, what kind of problems they have taken for this research, what kind of activities they have planned, the techniques they have used, right? You can, if you can, you can read some literature also, what kind of literature they have found, and data collection techniques, they are important. So can you do it, that you have the weekend? So you just try to read. You can download from Google Scholar. Google ගිහිල්ලා SCHOLAR Scholar ගහුවාම Google Scholar, Google ගිහින් SCHOLAR Scholar. Then you can type your topic. Then you will get lots of research articles, journal articles, right? Anything that you want to get clarified? Everyone has to do to start today itself. අදම බලන්න download කරගෙන කියවන්න. මේක හොඳටම කරන්න ඕනේ. ඔයගොල්ලෝ genuine වැඩක් කරන්න ඕනේ. නැත්නම් වැඩක් නෑ, අපරාධනේ. Right? So anything that you want to get clarified before winding up the session? Can you do the task that I assigned you?
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay, so you can learn a lot of things rather than I tell. When you explore, because this is the now here the best way of learning is self-directed learning. That means you learn by yourself. So we can facilitate, we can guide you, but we can't spoon feed. It's useless. When you find on your own, you can learn a lots of things because now here there's knowledge explosion. You can have knowledge everywhere. Computer phone. You can learn a lot of knowledge. So therefore make use of that. Do a genuine work and become an action researcher, a practitioner, and a researcher, right? So you then you can do research in different symposia, even because in around the world that there are so many research symposia, so you can apply for one. You can go to one country and do it and come. So I did in 2017, I went to Malaysia. I got the chance from the American Center that they sponsored because we had in our college that we had a American fellow, Dr. Trinidad. So he came to know that two of us were doing some research in the college. So he selected two of us and he gave the chance for us to do the presentation at Malaysia, Penang. I can't remember. I can't remember that area. So that we went there. So it was very interesting experience. Even their research conferences are very informal. අපේ වගේ හරිම formal නේ, හරිම informal. So learned a lots of things, met a lot of people. So even if you have money, you can go to one country, do the presentation and come, right? So being a researcher is very, really interesting. You will learn lots of things, lots of new things. Right, so then you have to read, you have to find articles. Anybody who has used Google Scholar before this? If possible, you can find from Emerald Insight, EBSCO, so there are so many good websites that where there are good articles, but we can't access to them. If you can access from an institute, the institute has to pay. So therefore, the best thing is to go to Google Scholar and find some articles. There you can find lots and lots of articles and download them and read. Then you can have a A3 sheet and write them separately. Then you can learn a lot of things, methodology. You can find the methodology they have used, the plan, techniques they have used. Separately write them. Okay, then you can easily find your problem also. When you are familiar by reading all these things, then when you go to school or when you are doing the activity, practicing it in the classroom, definitely you will encounter a problem easily, and then you can make it your own problem and find solutions. Okay, right? Before winding up, if you have anything to get clarified or any problem, just tell. Are you okay? No problems?
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay.
No problem.
Clear? What we discussed today is clear to you?
Yeah, madam, it's
Okay, right. I will send this presentation, right? Okay. Thank you for joining. And even I also enjoyed working with you because I like this area, research. So we'll do good research, right? Okay. Good night.
Good night, ma'am.